Hey all, Hipper here. So today we're looking at free-to-play flagship builds, and this is obviously a deep subject, so don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment, because we're getting into the detail here. So I'm going to assume that free-to-play players primarily have rare commanders or the blue commanders. Now of course that's not to say that if you are a free-to-play player you don't have legendary commanders, but I'm just going to assume here in the first example that you only have access to the blue commanders, right? So the rare commanders really don't give you many options. For example, there's only one captain of the rare commanders. This is Solar here. And of course, you don't need to put a captain in a captain slot. You can put a jack of all trade in there, of which there's only one as well, which is Henry Hell. So I suggest that if you have only blue commanders, or primarily blue commanders, I suggest that you take the captain and put her in the captain spot on your flagship or whatever ship you want to, do this with. So the first mate is also kind of limited because there's really only Betty. There's an option. Now again, I just want to make sure that like in case you have any epic or legendary commanders, of course use those instead. But again, this example is just using blue or rare commanders here. So for first mate, we just pick Betty. There's really no other option really. And for gunner, we do have a few options. But if you look at them here, Armstrong is defensive and taunt, and Django is support and boosts. They don't really do any damage, and you would probably prefer a damage commander, at least with the other two that we have on the ship. And Henry Hell is a jack of all trades, so you can put him in at spot and still get the all attributes 20% bonus, which is what I think you should do. So as you can tell, as a free-to-play player only using blue commanders, there really aren't that many options. And hopefully, even if you don't pay to play the game, you will have at least some epic commanders, perhaps even one legendary. But let's just have a look at epic commanders here now. We're just putting them on the flagship again, right? So captains, there's not a single captain in the epic commander lineup. So you're going to have to use a jack of all trades for the captain spot here. So of course, if you have a blue captain, you could think about putting her there, which is Solar from before, or even if you have a legendary captain, you should definitely put them there. But in this case here, like I said, we're just doing epic commanders. So first mate, we actually have quite a few to choose from here, and it would make sense to add, commanders who do the same type of damage. So in this case, that would be choosing between blazing damage or like Will here provides, or drowning damage that Eileen provides as a first mate. So before we add a first mate, let's quick have a look at the gunners here, because you have an artillery gunner, a drowning gunner, a blazing gunner. So you can do 3 different damage builds here, but in this case here, let's just pick Will as the first mate. So we're trying to do a blazing build here. So in the gunner spot, you then want to pick, in this case, an epic commander, right? If you have them, that also does blazing damage, and that's obviously Ned. He's the only one available. So if you pick him, you will have a full complement of epic commanders on your flagship, and blazing damage is your main damage. Now I'm not saying this is an optimal build, it's not, but this is probably the best build you can kinda get to if you want to do a damage focused flagship. If you want to do like a defensive focused flagship, you have to do a completely different build, and I can show that, but first I'll just show, if you go for a drowning build instead, you pick Eileen, and as the gunner, of course you pick Mad Dog, who has drowning damage as well. So that's a drowning damage focused build here, free to play, hopefully, on your flagship. So getting the best build on your flagship totally depends on which commanders you have and what level they're at. You might have to, mix them. So if you have a rare captain, you mix them with an epic gunner and, for example, a legendary first mate. I mean, that's totally fine. If that gives you the highest power output, right? Then of course you do it that way. But if you want to spec into a specific build, like a defensive build, I haven't shown that for epic or rare commanders because it's quite difficult to achieve, and I don't think it's worth the trouble, to be honest. Instead, if you have legendary commanders, I suggest that you do a defensive build using those. And then if you don't have them, then, I don't know. It depends what you want from your flagship. I go with defensive flagships, most people do. So, you can build a blazing damage flagship like I did, or you can use the same approach just on a different ship, one of the smallest ships that actually gives you a blazing bonus as well. So the point of this is that if you are limited to blue commanders, particularly, you're going to have a really tough time. So you will need to pull at least a few epic commanders to be able to have a competitive build. And of course, the pulling of commanders is kind of a science in itself. Because you can see I'm missing a lot of commanders, and most people are. It's hard to get all the legendaries. It really is difficult. So you really should plan this. And there is a calendar function if you go into the Conq section down in the corner on the left. And if you click that calendar, you will be able to see which weeks, like upcoming weeks, have which commanders available. And of course, you're using the premium conks for this, so you also need to, save those up. So if, say, you want to use a particular commander, let's say you want to get Cordelia, right? She's available in from the 15th of March to the 22nd of March. And that means that if you want her, you should wait to spend your conks until that week, because you're going to have a much better chance of getting her then. So if you click at the hero roster, you can see the 2% chance of getting her. That's pretty good. That's, 1 in 50 conks. So really, my point here is that you should decide quite early on. You should have a strategic vision for what you want to achieve in the game, what your builds should be, and which ships you are aiming for. And if you want to get Ophelia, you should, focus on the commanders that will work well with her until you actually get her. And of course, until then, you're going to be a little bit handicapped, but once you get her, you'll be happy. And don't forget that there are new seasons coming. Season 3 is already out there, and there's a lot of new content in the new seasons, and particularly season 3. There is at least 2 new heroes in that season that could, upend builds completely. So you really have to put some thought into this, because heroes require a lot of work and a lot of time to get right, and you really need to perfect your builds here as when you get up into the higher levels. So I hope this helped a little bit, and let me know in the comments if you liked it or not, and I will see you out there, and don't forget to subscribe.